The human body is capable of a huge range of movements. It's a powerful machine designed to move in many ways. Athletes push their bodies to the limits, and if a sport doesn't push them far enough, new, more extreme ones stretch them even further. Computer games try and mimic human movement, but it isn't easy. Our bodies move in a complicated way. To make the computer-animated players of this game as realistic as possible, the manufacturers of Actua Ice Hockey are using a technique called motion capture. Highly reflective markers are attached to key parts of the player's body: his shoulders and all his other joints, his hands, and even his stick. Special cameras placed in a circle on the ice shine red light onto the player. The markers are designed to reflect this red light back. To make the technique work, the player's clothes and all the surroundings are made out of non-reflective material. As the hockey player skates after the puck, his body twists and turns in ways that are specific to the game of ice hockey. The cameras monitor the changing positions of the markers, collecting information about his body position from lots of different angles. His movement appears as a series of dots on a computer screen. By joining the dots together, they can generate a simple stick figure and begin to build a computerized ice hockey player. By recording movement in this way, a whole range of sports can be given the same treatment, recreating lifelike players. During movement, muscles, bones and joints all work together. But strip a human body down to its skeleton and you can see what's happening just to the bones. Although the body is turning and twisting, the bones don't bend. They simply change position. There are over 200 bones in a human skeleton, and they come in all shapes and sizes. One of their jobs is to support the body, so they need to be strong and tough. A machine like this can tell you just how strong bones are. It measures how much force a bone can take before it breaks. A metal bar pushes on the bone from above. The greater the force, the stronger the bone. This pushing force is measured in newtons. To break this turkey leg bone, it took a force of about 1,000 newtons. That's equivalent to 20 turkeys standing on it. So what is it that makes bones so strong? Could it be the shape, or is it what they're made of? Place a bone in a tank of dilute acid and chemical reactions start to happen. Bone contains minerals like calcium. As time goes by, the acid slowly dissolves the calcium away. Several days later, the bone is washed to get rid of any acid. It's changed colour and is now extremely bendy. Calcium is vital for strong, healthy bones. But what about a bone's shape? How does that affect its strength? Sawing a bone in half shows it's hollow. This makes bones lightweight and easier to move, but does it also make them strong? These metal bars are both made out of the same amount of aluminium, and they're also the same length. One is a hollow tube and the other a solid rod. But which one will be the strongest? The solid rod is tested first. To bend the solid rod, a force of about 3,000 newtons is needed. So, how will the hollow tube stand up to the same treatment? The hollow structure is much stronger. It takes a force of nearly 5,000 newtons to bend it. Engineers have known for a long time that, weight for strength, there are few structural shapes to rival the tube. Just like the skeleton, bike frames need to be light, but they also need to withstand many forces. Putting a bike through its paces shows just how strong the frame is, and while the bike is taking a battering, so is the rider's skeleton. A bike frame is made up of a series of different sized hollow tubes, just like the bones of a human skeleton. Not all bones are the same size. Some are long, some are short, some are fat, others are very thin. The bones in the legs are wider than those in the fingers because they need the strength to support the weight of the whole body. But bones are no good on their own. The bones of this skeleton are held in position with metal pins. What holds them together in real life? Muscles hold our bones in position. Even when we're standing still, our muscles are working, stopping our skeleton from collapsing in a heap. The human body has around 650 muscles. They cover most of the skeleton and give this gymnast body its well-defined shape. In fact, nearly half of his body weight is due to muscle. If we could peel back the skin to have a look at the muscle, it would look the same as that on a chicken leg. Animals, like humans, are covered in muscle too. It's made of protein and is smooth and stretchy. This is the calf muscle. It gets thinner and is attached to the bone in the lower leg by these tough white fibres called tendons. Give them a pull and it makes the lower leg move. Pulling the muscle on the other side of the leg moves it back. Muscles make bones move by pulling them into position. They do this by contracting. Under a microscope, you'd be able to see that muscle is made of small, stringy fibres. When the muscle is working, these long, thin fibres contract, they get shorter and fatter. As the muscle relaxes, the fibres return to their original length. As they contract and relax, the muscles make the bone move. It's the same with the muscles in the human body. See how they bulge and get fatter as they contract. The muscle on the top of the arm is called the biceps. It's attached to the bone in the lower arm. As it contracts, it pulls the lower arm up. The triceps is attached to the other side of the bone, running behind the elbow. It pulls it back. As one muscle contracts, the other relaxes. Because they work against each other, they're known as antagonistic muscle pairs. Muscles work in pairs all over the body, pulling bones into position and making a huge range of movement possible. To keep still, the muscles in the leg lock the knee into position. Muscles in the back and back of the leg lift the lower body. Muscles in the stomach and front of the legs stop him from going too far. Different sports require strength and control in different muscle pairs. But to be a top gymnast, Chris has to work hard to develop all-round muscle strength. Because muscles work in pairs, it's important for athletes to work on each muscle in a pair to the same extent. This exercise works his stomach muscles. The antagonistic muscles are in his back. To keep his strength balanced, Chris needs to work his back and stomach equally. This action exercises the triceps at the back of his arm. You can see it bulging as it contracts. So, what other muscles should Chris be working? And what muscles are working here? Becky Burrows is a national diving champion. She's one of just a few teenagers who've been picked out as Britain's future Olympic hopefuls. Although she's only 14, she trains for 2 hours every day, along with her teammates, who are constantly striving to improve their dives. Using their muscles to control the position of the limbs and body is the key to success. Equally important is a good takeoff. Understanding how muscles work means that scientists can apply their knowledge to improve the diver's technique. At the Carnegie Sports Science Centre, Becky's muscle strength is being assessed. The forces her leg muscles generate are measured by a force plate. It's fixed into the floor and acts a bit like a set of weighing scales. As Becky jumps, she pushes down on the plate. The force of this push appears as a peak on the computer and is measured in newtons. For a balanced takeoff, both legs need to be pushing with the same force. Becky's right leg is monitored first. By measuring both legs separately, the scientists can compare the strength. If her left leg is very different, it could seriously affect her dive. The average force produced by a right leg is 716 newtons, by comparison to 710 for a left. That's close enough, so things are looking good. By analysing the way divers move, the Sports Science Unit has been able to discover some crucial mistakes that top divers have been making. World champion diver Dimitri Sotin's technique is thought to be among the best. The same dive is performed by British diver Bob Morgan. Morgan doesn't score as highly, so what is it about his technique which is letting him down? Analysing the divers frame by frame gave the scientists some important clues. The position of the head and joints was fed into a computer and turned into a simple animation. It's now possible to see that Bob Morgan, on the right, has a very different body position to Sotin's, on the left. Morgan's body is bending forwards too much, preventing him getting those valuable extra centimetres in height. The scientists discovered that Morgan's stomach muscles were too strong, pulling the top half of his body forwards. What muscles would he need to develop to improve his dive? By training divers like Becky when they're at the beginning of the sport, scientists can try to correct any mistakes they might be making along the way. And this young diver is definitely a face to look out for in the future.